People ask me all the time, hey, what do I need to be cooking in a cast iron skillet, or what can I cook? And so I thought I would throw together, in no particular order, my top 5 things to cook in a cast iron skillet. I love to shallow fry in a cast iron skillet. This has a couple of advantages over deep frying. Number one, it uses way less oil. So like if you don't have enough, you just be like, hey, I'm just going to shallow fry this instead. Number two, you actually get some contact with the bottom of the skillet. So the Maillard reaction is there. It's not there in a deep frying sense. Not like this. It's just a great thing. Like if you have a dry battered food like country fried steak like you see here, or chicken fingers, or chicken livers, anything that you're going to dry batter and then fry, this is the way to go. And it's just vastly superior, in my opinion, than anything else. Next is gravy, and this doesn't matter if it's breakfast like sausage gravy or brown gravy for mashed potatoes or beef or whatever. You need some of that fond to build up on the bottom of the pan just a little bit for a good gravy, and you don't get that in a non-stick, and not even a stainless to the effect that you would a cast iron. And so for that fact, it's just way better to do gravy in a cast iron skillet. It just makes way more sense because you wind up with a better end product. Next, we're going to get into some of the properties that just make cast iron way better than anything else. And the big thing is how much heat it retains. So when you have something that is full of energy, which would be heat in this instance, and you lay something that is not full of energy, like a cold piece of meat, you pull energy out of that initial piece, the cast iron, for instance. So since it retains so much heat, there's more of a pool of energy to pull from. So when you set that down, there's still quite a bit of heat left in the skillet. So it makes it just ideal for searing things or cooking really small things, which is essentially just searing on both sides. But in a thinner pan or something with less mass that's not going to retain that heat, when you lay that down and then go to flip it, the energy density that is in that spot has dissipated because it's just gone. There's not enough resource there to continue the cook. So you do not get a nice sear on both sides. Typically not on either side because you've pulled energy out when you laid it down initially. So for that reason, it is impossible with a pan to beat a cast iron skillet in searing. Now, if you have a blowtorch or something, you could probably get a better sear, but for most of us, we don't. So, for that reason, cast iron is at the top of searing. And of course, that is great for fish or steak or chicken or anything that you just need a nice outer crust on. You cannot go wrong, and you probably cannot beat a cast iron skillet. Next is cornbread, and I don't even have to say anything here. If you're not already cooking cornbread in a cast iron skillet, then just stop. And lastly, despite what the channel name suggests, I don't do a ton of baking, but because cast iron is oven safe, it makes for a great baking vessel. I have made biscuits, and I've even made pizza in them. The downside of that is they typically do need to be preheated, but so does your oven, so you can just stick them in the oven while it preheats, and you're typically good to go. Anyway, guys, that wraps up my top 5 list. Thanks for sticking around and watching. Appreciate y'all.